Welcome back, everybody, to my views from Tumortown. Bruce here again. And today we're going to talk about a topic that you may want to watch or not watch. We're going to talk about illicit drugs. And if this is something that bothers you, or you don't want somebody in the room to hear about or know anything about, then please do not watch this video. Because I'm going to be very honest and frank with you about my experiences with illicit drugs during my lifetime. So just a warning, back out now if you don't want to hear about any of this. Okay, now, I've said in other videos about surfing and my brother getting us all surfing and so forth. And of course, they were the ones who first exposed us to alcohol, right? You know, beer and wine. And we started drinking, partying it up, And back then, you're a kid. You're not really drinking because, I love the taste of beer. You're drinking to get screwed up, to get drunk. That was your deal, And then we found out about marijuana. And we started trying marijuana. Then I ended up getting a job at a head shop when I was 15. And the head shop was owned, and one of the owners and operators happened to be a cousin of Randy and Ricky. So, I got in there and, I was working, and because I was there, I got exposed to people who could sell you, drugs in quantities, right? Rather than just a bag of pot, you could buy a pound of pot, right? And so that's kind of how we started. We pooled our resources together. We got a pound of pot. We broke it all up. We sold it. And that ended up, paying for itself and leaving all of us with a bag of pot in our own pocket for free. Great, right? So we did once, we did it again, we did it again. And then one thing led to another. And then, of course, we started getting, a little bit of hashish, okay. Oh, you want to try some speed? You want to do Quaaludes? You want to do, mescaline? You want to do whatever, LSD, cocaine? We went through it all. Eventually, we went through all of it that was available to us with the exception of heroin. That we didn't do because all of us were needle averse. We were all scared to death of needles. So there was no way we were putting a needle in our arm, right? So cocaine, was probably the worst of the lot. But back then there was no crack cocaine, no freebasing. Nobody knew anything like that. So all you did was snort it in your nose. That was pretty much what you did. Because if you weren't going to drive it in your veins, that was your only option. And that's all we did, right? So we went through periods. We went through periods where we were doing, a lot of cocaine and Quaaludes. Disco biscuits, we called them. You could do that and just dance all night long. You were unstoppable. You were just a machine, Crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Speed, we all tried but didn't really care for, so we didn't really do much of that. The mescaline and stuff didn't come around that often. Wasn't all that exciting. We didn't really care to go that far with that stuff, so we really didn't do that much with that. We did a little bit of hashish, but again, hash was rare. So we were really more pot guys and cocaine guys and LSD guys. We got into what was called window pane. We got a lot of window pane, LSD, and did a lot of that ourselves, sold a lot of that, and that became a drug of choice. We would also, we would go out into the cow pastures early in the morning and find psilocybin mushrooms and make mushroom tea or, whatever else and do psilocybin trips. I had never really cared for that high very much. Didn't do and the tea always tasted horrible. So, I just never really cared for that sort of stuff. But we did it. And we became the connection for our class of friends. So most of the friends we grew up with in our neighborhood and went to school with, if they wanted something, they came to us. And when I left public school, I pretty much just had a small group of people that I dealt with, and I was pretty much just a connection for the quantity. And Ricky and Randy and Bruce would, deal with all the other people at the public high school. And I just didn't have to deal with that. Tom never really got involved. He was a user, but he was never really a seller. So, Tom stayed out of that part of it. But, we did that through high school. I mean, I can remember, times walking around with half an ounce of cocaine in my pocket, just for my own personal pleasure. Crazy, right? And as strange as it was, there came a time, like all things, your connections dry up. You don't get the same quality, whatever, So people were getting upset about the cocaine. It was harder to get. It wasn't as good, this and that. And they were yelling at me about it. And I was getting fed up, frankly. And we were at a party, and a friend of mine came down the stairs, and his nose is just gushing blood because he's been snorting so much. I'm like, whoa, 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 This isn't good. And then everybody, not everybody, a few people jumped on me about the cocaine, blah, 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 blah. And I just got in my car, and I took off. And I was kind of mad, and I just said, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm toast. And I never did cocaine again. Quit it just like that. And I had been doing it in quantity, so as an addictive drug, it was not addictive to me. And later, I would quit every drug I ever did, except tobacco. I quit alcohol. I quit everything. But I could never quit tobacco. That one killed me. Literally, it's killing me. But I smoked marijuana every day of my life. Happily. Up until the very end, just like I did cigarettes. And I enjoyed every puff. Every bong hit, every whatever. I enjoyed them. And man, we tried all sorts of instruments. The bong, the recycler. We had a little pipe with a aquarium pump hooked up. You put your finger on the valve, and bam, it would just shoot this waft of smoke out the end of it. It was incredible. I mean, we did some crazy stuff, And we never got caught, thank God. And, thankfully, a lot of the drugs that are out there today were not there then. Otherwise, I don't know how we all would have survived through that, But we all came through it. Some, held on and did cocaine and other drugs longer than others, But eventually we all cycled out, except for pot, Most everybody still smoked pot, And that was kind of the way it went. And so I never, throughout my life, paid out of my pocket for my own personal drug use. Never. And I never intended to. And that was good. That's the way it should have been. And, those were crazy days. I know what we did was illegal, and I don't think we hurt anybody that I know of. We were always fair and honest. We never cheated people. We certainly never packed guns or nothing, But we do know people who later on would be arrested and spend time in jail and wasted lives because of marijuana, which is stupid. And, I cannot say how stupid I think that is, that those great people had their lives absolutely ruined and their families' lives ruined just because they smoked marijuana and wanted to sell a bag to somebody else. That was just terrible, absolutely terrible. So I hope one day marijuana will be totally legal everywhere, as well as maybe every other drug, so we can get rid of all this and, work on treatment rather than, how terrible and awful all these things are. But that was us during the day and the drugs. It came, it went, it was there, it was fun, and we all got what we wanted out of it. So I'll leave it at that. If anybody has any questions, you can certainly ask them, and I'll always be happy to answer. Till the next time, peace and hang 10.